Good afternoon and welcome to the second instalment of Irons United transfer show. My name is Stel. First thing up is the unconfirmed reports that Ryan Fredericks has signed a 4-year contract with the Hammers. That's appeared in the Standards newspaper today here in London, but there's nothing on the West Ham website, so we can't confirm that it's true, but it must be a fairly decent story for it to appear in the national newspaper. Building on Anton's video yesterday, what would Fredericks signing mean? He mentioned yesterday about Zabaleta, how Zabaleta likes going forward but was often caught for pace coming back to defend. Although we don't foresee Zabaleta being sold to anybody, there's a good chance that if Fredericks has signed, Zaba may be a bit of a bit part player maybe next season, appearing in cup games and the odd substitutions. But it also means that it's the likely end of Byram. We haven't seen Byram a lot in a West Ham shirt in his career. Injuries have forced him out more often than not. So it looks like Fredericks coming in could well mean the end of Byram's West Ham career. Anton also mentioned us chasing Felipe Anderson, another fantastic prospect. But who will that affect within the current squad? Well, the obvious player it could affect is Antonio. We've already heard that Palace have made a very low offer for his services. And it's quite possible that given that they've made an offer, Palace could well be coming back to make a more substantial offer. Is that good? From what we understand, Felipe Anderson is a fast winger. We also know Antonio is a fast player. The one difference is that Anderson is classed as a baller, according to the Irons United lot. A baller meaning he's got a lot of skill, so in addition to his pace, he's got skill. Now the one thing we can say about Antonio, he's a bit more like a ball. He goes forward, relies on his pace, doesn't necessarily have an awful lot of skill to go with it, unfortunately. So Anderson would definitely be a step up to Antonio if he goes. But who else could it affect? Well, we know there's been rumour about Lanzini. Speculation's been rife about him possibly going to Liverpool, and it's quite possible that Lanzini could be another player that could be on his way out if Anderson comes in. Anderson plays anywhere along the front line. He can play left-sided, right-sided, or even in the middle of an attacking midfield. Now, personally, I wouldn't like Lanzini to go. I'd like to see the likes of Anderson playing alongside Lanzini and Arnautovic. But if we got 50 mil for Lanzini, is that such a bad thing? The jury's out on that as far as I'm concerned. Who else have we got linked to us? Jack Grealish from Villa, a tenacious midfielder, has been rumoured to be linked. And who would that affect? Well, I think the obvious, it would affect Mark Noble. Not suggesting again that Noble would be sold, but it's quite possible that Noble would be sidelined if the likes of someone like Jack Grealish came in. What do I think of Grealish? He's okay. I don't know if he'll be the sort of player that the new manager will want, Pellegrini. But an interesting prospect. The last player I want to mention is the possible incoming of Marlon Santos. He's a Brazilian centre-back, originally from the Fluminense Academy, signed up by Barcelona in 2016, loaned out to Nice in 2017. He has made 22 appearances for the club, 4 yellow cards, 1 red. He can play either right side of defence or central defender. And his ability is that he's a good passer of the ball, 94% pass success rate. His one weakness is his aerial ability. If he came in, who would he impact on? Well, it's quite possible that we've seen the last of Burke. He's been given several opportunities to impress for West Ham. He's been loaned out on a number of occasions. If someone like a 22-year-old Santos is coming in, I think we can say goodbye to Reece Burke. Reece Oxford. I think that depends on what Pellegrini decides to do with Oxford, whether he thinks about playing him in defence or whether he thinks about playing him as a holding midfielder. So I think the jury might be out on him. Ogbonna. Well, at Irons United, the jury split on Ogbonna. Some of us think he's great or decent, and some of us think he's not. My personal thought is that Ogbonna would be kept, and quite possibly a player that might play alongside Marlon Santos if we sign him. Declan Rice. Well, Pellegrini could surprise us all and have a brand new, almost a brand new backline with Fredericks, Rice, Santos, and then someone over on the left, possibly Cresswell. Now that would be ambitious, a very young defence, but a defence that could grow together. So the likelihood of Rice suffering from someone like Santos coming in is very remote. And finally, that leaves Reed. What would happen to Reed? Well, we know Reed is on a long-term contract. He's got something like 6 or 7 years left of his contract. We also know that he's been very injury-prone lately. Hasn't played much for West Ham in the last season. And would he be affected by an imminent arrival of someone like Santos? I think it's possible. I think it's possible that Pellegrini would look at Reed and consider how many games he's played, how many injuries he's been picking up, and given the fact that he's on a long-term contract, we'll be able to sell him for quite a decent amount of money. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Anyway, that's short, sharp and sweet, and you'll be getting another transfer news update from Irons United soon. So sign up, subscribe and all that sort of stuff, and come on you Irons.